Greetings and hello, Kaiser Louis Philip V today. And it's been a while since I posted again, and the reason for that is I had company from out of state, some friends from up north. We went around, Louisiana, saw the touristy stuff, the bayous, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, all the big sites, places like that. And it was all fine and good, and it was fun. Well, now they're gone, and I'm going to resume regular content posting on the page again. But specifically, I wanted to make a video, because the reason I make videos sometimes is because I feel like I can verbalize something and have a better emotional impact than I can by writing, because I see something and it just makes me want to call some random person and just talk to them about it. Like just like, hey man, I'm pretty sure what you're doing is important. I just need you to listen to this. I just need you to observe this stupidity that I have witnessed. I need you to comprehend it, And that stupidity is, Pope Francis is a walking joke now. I think the man has gone from just not even being a media darling to even just a punching bag. I think he's just a joke at this point. I think Jorge Bergoglio has succeeded in making Catholicism a bigger joke than it was already becoming since 1958. And that's very impressive, considering how much we've gotten away with so far without someone just saying, people just altogether stopping taking us seriously. Sometimes it's just like, alas that these evil days are mine, because you love something so much and you hate to see it go, and and it feels like the people who you think should care the most they don't care at all. And really, that's where that's how my reaction to a lot of this, But what I want to talk about specifically, because this, the guy said a lot of stuff, especially in the last week or so since I've been, dealing with my company and all. He said a lot of things that just made me just explode, like internally, just like screams internally. I was having fun and everything, and I had a great time, and it didn't ruin my week at all. But it was just like internally, I just wanted to scream, and I'm not even going to rag on the encyclical, on the climate change encyclical too much, because that is a joke in and of itself. The Pope wrote an encyclical about climate change. That's a setup for a hilarious but sad joke right there. And yeah, that's what it is. It's a setup for a sad yet hilarious joke. And made sadder by the fact that it's real. This happened. No, this took place. This happened while you weren't paying attention, And, of all the things you could have written an encyclical about, of all the things you could have sat down, I put real thought into what I take the time to write about. Some things I just discard because that's not really important. Or, other people are saying stuff about that I already agree with, and I can just share it, or I can comment on it, or no one's really forcing me to talk about it, so, I can just say, nah, it's not that important. But you're telling me that the Pope, the Pontifex Maximus, sat down and said, in the face of all the problems we have right now, well, shit, I need to write an encyclical about climate change. We got to save those penguins. I'm all for responsible stewardship, okay? But there's just more important things we can discuss. More specifically, more important things that a Pope could discuss. Now, what I want to talk about specifically is an encyclical that I think really just sums up what I find wrong with this Pope on a lot of levels. And that is his recent, well, not encyclical, it was a comment he made, that arms manufacturers cannot in any way, shape, or form call themselves good Christians. Now, before there are people that are like, he was talking about arms smugglers and, black market weapons dealers and, he was talking about those people. Well, did he say that? Did he say that? Did he say that? No! So why are you trying to ascribe words to him that he didn't say? Let the man's words stand as they are. No man in history has ever been subject to the doublespeak and revisionism that occurs within seconds revolving around this guy. Okay, if I said, just out of the blue, Just for no reason, I don't like Jews. You would assume I was anti-Semitic. If I just walked into a room, no context, nothing, I say, I really hate Jews. You would assume I was anti-Semitic. I'm not, but if I just said that, you would assume that. And you would be right to assume that, because that's the only indication I've given you, if you've never heard of me before, if you know nothing about me, that tells you something about me. Oh, that's the guy who said he didn't like Jews, so he must not like Jews. Throw your high schooler special snowflake garbage out of your brain and grow up, okay? Perceptions and, first impressions mean a lot. They can be changed or altered, or you can ignore them, but for most people, especially in the professional world, first impressions are everything, unless you have something about that first impression that made you think, maybe I should give this guy another chance. And, the guy says, arms manufacturers cannot in any meaningful sense call themselves Christians. So, curiosity. Just curiosity here. What? In what way is the neutral act of making something evil? Like, look, this isn't some, making weapons is not some satanic process of, no, it's machinery. It's blacksmithing, basically. You can make a gun with 2 pipes and a firing pin and a shell. You can make a gun like that. You can make a basic firearm using what you probably have in your average home. There are drug cartels in South America who make homemade weapons because arms smuggling is severely restricted and hampered by government efforts. They make weapons that kill people just as well as any rifle they could get. Alright? Gun control does not work. Period. Okay? You can try to limit it, you can try to be a little restrictive, but outright banning firearms will never, ever, ever, ever work. It's stupid. It's absolutely wrong. You can make areas where people can't bring their weapons, like government buildings or things like that, but for security reasons, but just outright banning weapons does not and never will work. There are numerous examples of this, that it doesn't work. You can look up any number of videos of guys making homemade firearms and they'll show you how easy it is to make a weapon if you really want to. And in Beijing just today, over 130 people, over 130 fatalities. That's adding up kind of injury. Well, fatalities means people that were hurt, or injured, not necessarily deaths in this case. 130 people assaulted in a knife-wielding spree in Beijing. And nobody could stop this guy. What? If you're just unarmed, what are you going to do with somebody that's armed with a knife and has intent to kill? You're just going about your business. You're just going about your day. You're just going about your day, and all of a sudden some dude comes over and stabs you in the gullet. Like, it's like, what the heck, man? It's what are you going to do? If you don't see it coming, what are you going to do? Like, do people think that murders didn't happen in the age before firearms? No, there were mass murderers in the age before firearms, before the industrial age. There were guys who went around just killing people. They were called brigands. Hell, bandits. They went around stabbing people or shooting them with bows and arrows or killing them with something and taking their stuff or just killing them. But this isn't rocket science. The human body is, while once impressive, it's incredibly fragile. It's like carving open a pomegranate to get to the juicy bits. It's not that difficult to do if you're determined. I mean, it's that kind of an image. It gives you an idea. So banning firearms wholesale is not going to work at all because people can get around that and people can just kill each other just fine with, household appliances. For God's sakes, the Tsarnaev brothers used a pressure cooker to take out a city block in Boston. A pressure cooker. How many of you have a pressure cooker in your kitchen? Huh? How many of you have one of those? I mean, this isn't difficult. This is not rocket science. Okay? Like, this is common horse sense. It's not that hard to kill people. Really, it's not. It is not hard to kill people in the least. If it was difficult, almost nobody would ever do it. It's that simple. Now, it's the difference between walking to the street and walking up and climbing Mount Everest. Everybody can walk down the street. Only a select few people can climb Mount Everest. And, so just the idea that, we're taking... And Why are we banning? Why is someone like the Pope attacking the use of the arms manufacturing? What if he believes in gun control of some kind, which this seems to indicate? Why then does your personal bodyguard wields 15th century weaponry? Yeah, they have rifles. They have submachine guns. They have rifles. But your personal bodyguard wield medieval weaponry. Halberds. For God's sakes, a halberd is meant to be used in formation, or it's meant to be used in a group of guys, okay? Unless you're talking about a poleaxe, that's a bit more manageable. But no, these are full-on halberds. Look at these things. They're ginormous. Like, they're meant to be used in groups. Not with one guy. I mean, you can use a halberd effectively as your one guy, but it's a lot less effective than, say, a wall or a group of dudes encircling you with these things. It's a lot less effective. They have swords. They have maces. They have poofy, they have the ruffled armor. They have, some of them don't even have full plate. They just have a breastplate. Dude, there's a walking contradiction where you live. I swear to God, if he disarms the Vatican police, I'm gonna throw a conniption fit. That place, as susceptible as the second they start, disarming the Swiss Guard, oh my God, the number of people who are gonna go in there and try to screw stuff up. I mean, it's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be amazing. Like it's gonna be an epidemic of vandalism. It's gonna be the barbarians sacking Rome again. It's dumbfounding, really, And so, and you're calling arms manufacturers, they can't be true Christians. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So let's assume let's get off the whole medieval weaponry thing. Like, let's assume he's literally talking firearms. Let's assume that. Because that's safe to say that's what he said. So your whole thing, you okayed a while back. You said it would be fine to use military force against ISIS. No one's responded to that call. Your last hope basically were private individuals, companies, private military companies, and arms manufacturers who could supply them. Why would they help you now when you've just insulted them? Why? Like the average person's not going to help somebody who just walks up. Like, if I just walked up to you on the street, if I was that one friend who was always a douche to you we're not good enough friends for you to be a jerk to me, even in jokingly, we're not good enough friends for you to just make fun of my weight, we'd be like, yeah, pencil that, we're not good enough friends like that, but if he just does that all the time and he did suddenly ask me to do something for him that's not super important, hey dude, what are the answers to homework, or hey, can you give me a ride to the store, I live 5 minutes away from the store, but can you give me a ride, no. You wouldn't help that person, because what have they done to deserve that help? Let's ignore the Christian element for a second, just look at the reality of it. Why would you help someone who insults you and your livelihood? Who attacks it? You wouldn't! First off, they're businessmen. They care about numbers. They care about money. That's how they make their business run. They're not going to waste time, effort, or money now, especially on someone who insults them. They don't have time for that. There are plenty of willing buyers who will take their stuff and not insult them while they do it. And to top it all off, you've got these, how can this Pope go out of his way and attack stuff like that and be surprised when Christians in the Middle East just lay down their lives and give up and just wait to die? How can you expect anything else? Martyrdom is not something that you force on people. It's a choice. You don't force people to give up their lives. It's a choice. I don't remember the exact situation or anything, but I remember there was a Coptic patriarch, a pope. The Coptics have their own pope. A Coptic pope who, some kind of situation. There was a foreign enemy. It was Muslims. They were attacking them, and they had the means to defend themselves somehow, or to get help defending themselves somehow, and they turned it down. Well, why exactly? Because according to him, fighting back to defend yourself, self-defense, would be counter to the Christian way, because we're supposed to lay down our lives like lambs and just give them up and just
So you just made a choice for 4 million people that they're all going to die horrible screaming deaths or perhaps be enslaved. If they're lucky, they'll die or be enslaved. That's just the tip of the iceberg on the fucked up nope train of things that Muslims do to Christians, in the past. That's like the tip of the iceberg of the nope train. I mean, you just condemned 4 million people to death or so because of your own scruples against violence. That's not right. Okay, that it's incorrect to bind people to something like that and force them to choose martyrdom when they may not even believe, really, they may not even be ready for something like that, and you're forcing them to die. That's wrong. People have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to self-preservation. They have a right to life. They can choose to revoke, but at the same time, they have a right to their existence. You can't just order them to give. You can't just do something like that on that scale in that kind of a situation. It's ludicrous. It's absurd. It's unjust. It's downright cruel. It's just. It's one of those. It's one of those situations where you just have to say, like, yeah, you have a right to defend yourself. The people want to die as martyrs, let them die as martyrs. But there's nothing wrong with fighting back, particularly if they're invaders. If there are foreign occupiers, there's nothing wrong with fighting them. Like, especially if they're going to do nothing but harm to you. Like, there's nothing against that. It's just, and yet, that's the reason the response is so limp, is because this guy is, anti-war, anti-every war for anything. He's anti, and now apparently he's anti-gun. Now apparently the Pope is anti-gun. Or Jorge Bergoglio, the guy who's pretending to be Pope, and for some reason people treat him like Pope when he doesn't act like a Pope. People are treating him like the Pope. I'm not going to. If I saw the guy on the street, I'd probably either just, if I was I'd probably give him a stern. I'd probably chew him out. But at the same time, I'm not gonna treat him like the Pope. I'm gonna call him Jorge. Whatever, Mr. Bergoglio, whatever. I mean, because what has he done to earn the title of Pope? What has he done to show? He divests himself at every point of the honors and dignities of the office and its responsibilities, except when it benefits him to do so. All the finery, the raiment and things, that made you look like a bunch of foppish nonsense, but that's basically a uniform. Like, take for example this. I had to dress kind of like this when I worked for a bank. I had to put this on every day when I went to work. I couldn't just change my uniform. I couldn't just, there was even a casual Fridays. And one of the days my second week working there, I mean, this was like very early, very, very early in my time working there. I was brand new. I was green to the whole thing. My washer wasn't working, and I had no jeans to wear for jean day, so I just put on some khakis and a casual shirt and said, okay, this will be fine. And if anyone asks, I'll just say, oh well, my washer was broken. Luckily I got it fixed over the weekend. It was a very simple problem. It was very simple, and I just walked in, and I was at my desk for a while, and my break, my supervisor came over, and she said, "Why aren't you wearing jeans?" I said, "Oh, well, my washer broke, and I had no clean jeans. I wasn't able to wash any." And she said, "Well, all right, then just remember in the future, you need to wear jeans. Like, it is the rule. Like, welcome to the real world. Welcome to working. Welcome to life. Like, there are expectations, and like, why does the Pope just get to? Why do the bishops and the priests just get to shirk their uniforms? What kind of discipline is that? Like, when you like, how can you expect priests or anybody, any clergy, to take their job seriously and to behave like with the dignity of their station and their office if they can just do whatever if they can just wear whatever they want? They don't have to look the part. Like, I had a priest who, when he wasn't at the church, would go around in running shorts and a polo or some kind of a t-shirt and a baseball cap. Went around town like that all the time. Never wore the cassock ever. I think no, he wore it once or twice, but mostly he wore that black suit thing that they do, which is just plain stupid. It's one of those things where it's just and it's just there is a heritage and a history behind that, and if you're going to disrespect it, And if you're gonna take make your living basically taking a dump all over it, you don't get the privileges of it, in my opinion. He won't even live in the Apostolic Palace. He rents out the presidential suite of the hotel and lives on a whole floor to himself with his buddies because apparently he can't live alone. He doesn't like living alone. How is that humility? How is it humble to change your living abodes from your residence to go live in a nice fancy apartment with all your buddies because you don't want to live alone? How is that humble? How's that humility? That's like the definition of arrogance. Like, you're working on a job somewhere, and you're out and about, and just for no real good reason, you're all trying to be in the same place, and so you can coordinate and stuff. And you're out in the field, and this one guy is just like, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna be over here. I'm gonna go get in this nicer hotel over here, and I'm just gonna get all my friends together, and we're gonna do over here and do whatever we want. What? That's not professional in the least. There's nothing sacrificial about that. Oh, like it's some big deal for him to pay for a hotel room. Like the Vatican is not gonna pay for the whole thing. Hell, like the Vatican doesn't own the hotel. Just, it's so moronic. It's so moronic. And Santa Marta is a luxury 5-star hotel. Okay, it's one of the best hotels in Rome, I'm told. It's where they put I think it's where it's where the important dignitaries stay when they come to see the Pope. Like, it's kind of a personal sting to me, because somewhere near the papal apartments, is a fresco of one of my ancestors, Hugh the Great, who every pope for the last several hundred years has walked by, and it's one of those things where it's just, it's the principle of the thing. It's not even just my ancestors, it's the history surrounding that, the tradition. You won't respect that. You won't even respect something as simple as that. How can you be trusted to do your job in any meaningful sense if you're going to just screw off on things like that? And, this whole arms manufacturing thing is just another example of that. Like, this guy, while living in a place full of armed guards, I wouldn't be surprised if people are just, then when they jack up the prices the next time the Swiss Guard need munitions, I wouldn't be surprised if they just don't sell them. Like, no. Like, they just won't sell them until the Pope apologizes. I would not be surprised in the least. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Hell, if I wasn't Catholic, I'd probably do the same thing. It's like, no, you don't do business with me and insult me. No, I'll go to someone else. I'll go to someone else. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever. Bye. Later. It's one of those things where you just shake your head, and it's like, really, like, and even then, the fact that he even talked about this, like the fact that if you're gonna keep constantly making public appearances and being a media darling, every single day of your life, like no pope before, and you're gonna just talk about stupid political stuff like that, but nothing that actually pertains to the religion, nothing that pertains to the faith, no attempt at all at inspiring Catholic, the reformation of the Catholic leagues. No real cooperation or communication with the rightful heirs to the thrones of the kingdoms of Christendom. No attempts at calling the errant ones to conversion. No real attempts at, trying to fix anything about the situation. Hell, ignoring the situation. I mean, it's a glaring, monumental example of what a situation we're in when this is what we have to deal with for a pope. And I believe we deserve this. I believe we did something to deserve this. I fully believe that. Or I believe that hopefully this is some kind of lesson, so that hopefully, pray to God, hopefully, that once we get things back to normal, we will never, ever, 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 ever go back to the way we were before. I really hope. I just hope that'll be the way things are. We will never ever we'll look at this as a dark age in church history, and we will never ever go back to it ever again. we will, we'll call them like the 7 bad popes or something, and we'll burn them all in effigy, on a certain day or something, filled with copies of their heretical texts, because it's a great thing it's over. And it's one of those things, and people ask me, well, what do we do about it? I say, well, we need to start finding good clergy. We need to start finding places we can go, communities, the underground that will support us and are not controlled by neo-fascist crazy people, and so I'm trying to do that now. I discovered I live much closer to the chapel for the SSPX than I thought I did, in my state, the one that they have, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to just see if I can meet people. I won't be able to afford to go probably every week or for every holy day even, but I can probably go once a month, or if there's a lot of holy days in a month, I can only go on the holy days. It's just what I have to do, because it's still like a hour and a half, 2-hour drive every week, and that's a lot of gas. Or it's probably more like 3 hours, really, if you count traffic. It's probably more like 3 hours, but I'm going to do my best to account for the time. I'm going to do my best to account for the difference in the time. Because with traffic, you never know, particularly at noon, and it's just one. And I'm looking into this. I may try to bring the NSIR into the community. I may try, reach out with some literature and things, but no prospect of success on that. I just really my main motive. I need a community. I need spiritual support. I haven't been to a mass since this time last year. That's the last time I received mass, received the sacraments, and even then, maybe those weren't valid. Like it's a tough situation, and it's really affected me, and I've noticed it, and I've been needing to fix it for a long time, and now I may have the chance to. And I advise everyone else to do the same. If you cannot, then I truly understand. I'm not one of those people that's going to try and tell you the same thing you've heard a million times before from everyone else. If you care enough, you've probably looked. And I'm really sorry for the situation you're in. And if you just need, I'm here. I understand. I've been where you are. And I may still be where you are. If I have to move for any reason farther up north in the state, then I'm going to be once again too far away to even think about going. And I feel you. I understand how you feel. And I'm here, So, in closing, that's what I would advise we do about this. Start finding good clergy, because there are so many problems that we can only address from an ecclesiastical and spiritual angle, if we want to succeed. And so many of the problems do start there. And if we want to rebuild Christendom, we have to remember, it didn't start with politicking or anything, Kings didn't really start Christendom, if you think about it. It began with clergy who came to the people, and converted them.